Hello! I'm LegenTerry, and this is my review of Astro Bot, the 3D mascot platformer game developed by Team Asobi and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Ah, man. Have you ever booted up a new game, plopped down in your seat, and felt like you've just been transported back to your childhood? Well, a long time ago, platforming games were a kind of dominant force that all other video games could only dream of becoming. And for a lot of 90s kids, we were raised on mascot characters at the peak of their popularity. Mario, Crash, Sonic, Spyro, Banjo, there's a mile-and-a-half long list of these fellas that people adore and have nostalgia for to this day. It's a real shame that they eventually fell out of style, as most things do, as developers and publishers pressed onwards into the future with different genres and ideas. As the saying goes, they don't make them like they used to. You might not know this, but Sony and Team Asobi have been quietly but steadily rekindling the embers of the mascot platformer genre together over the last 2 generations of consoles. Sure, there have been a handful of great indie platformers and even a few jabs at it from the AAA side over the last few years. I loved Crash 4 and Psychonauts 2 is near and dear to my heart. But nothing has felt quite as polished, precise, or velvety smooth to control as most platformer fans such as myself would like. And those had a lot more of the spotlight shown on them than Astro's ever received, up till now. Astro Bot and his buddies first starred in a tech demo called The Playroom back on the PS4, then in a tech demo called Robots Rescue for PSVR, then in a spin-off game on the same platform called Astro Bot's Rescue Mission, then in a pack-in tech demo for the PS5 called Astro Bot's Playroom. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you didn't even know that. You've been holding Astro Bot prisoner inside your PS5 for years without a care in the world, you absolute monsters. The poor little guy's been stuck in tech demo limbo for ages and you never even paid him a visit? Well, I guess the rest of the world finally built up enough collective guilt because he got his own fully dedicated video game, no thanks to you. Congrats, little man. You're free now. Go and spread some joy. So pure. It's a good thing he isn't programmed to hold a grudge, you know? And I won't either, as long as you hit the like button and subscribe. Fun fact, publishers won't even consider sending an early code for their games to someone unless they have at least 1,000 subscribers, which is why my videos come out way later than the big guys. My reach is very small right now. Only about 2.6% of the people that watched my last video were subbed, and I really want to change that. Interacting with this video in any way tells YouTube's algorithm to put my stuff in front of more people. So please, help me out a little bit. I was so excited to see the trailer for this game show up back in May. God, it's so freaking creative. I might be showing my hand a little bit early here, but Astro Bot is such a perfect reminder of why I love playing video games. It grasps the very concept of fun in its tiny metal hands and wields it like a weapon. From the moment you turn it on, it just puts you in a good mood. The catchy theme song and the playful visuals practically ooze pure dopamine. Astro Bot's previous installations have been nothing if not a charming celebration of Sony's long history in video games and hardware, and that hasn't changed a bit. After all, he and his ensemble of little friends now canonically live inside your PS5 console. In this story, the bots are having a fun time partying through outer space when a goopy green alien shows up, tears open the side panels of the console, and steals its CPU chip. This sends all of the bots and the other major components hurtling through the dark reaches of the cosmos. Now, their spaceship is stranded on a desert planet, so Astro's gotta use his controller jump ship to go find all of his crewmates and make the repairs on the mothership so they can get back to playing. The game handles just as well as you'd remember from Astro's Playroom, or maybe even a hair better. If you already own a PS5 but haven't played through Playroom and haven't committed to buying this game, you should honestly go back and give it a shot. It's free, it's a few hours long, you probably already have it installed, and it's going to give you a really good idea of what this full game is like. Now, Astro's kit is really simple, only consisting of a jump, a hovering double jump where he shoots laser beams from the ends of his legs, a punch, and a charged up spinning punch. But don't let that fool you. Team Asobi has really gotten their mileage out of these basic tools and unlocked their full potential through some clever and tight level design. While not being nearly as complex to control, this might be the best feeling platformer since Super Mario Odyssey. In a lot of the levels, Astro also gets access to specific level-based power-ups that give you new mechanics to play with. For example, the idea of the monkey suit from Playroom stuck around, except this time you get an actual monkey who hangs out on your back. You can still use them to climb up walls that have handholds like in the tech demo, but this time around, you can also use them to pick up big rocks and other things too, and toss them around like projectiles. Or you can use those palms to slap the ground in contextual spots to knock away enemies and make platforms appear. Some of these power-ups can even add some extra movement options to your metaphorical tool belt, setting you up for some extra fluid motion and enabling you to quickly zip around levels. On the technical level, this game is an almost magical showcase of the sheer power that the PlayStation 5 console is still capable of, even if Sony themselves are trying to make you believe that you need a very unnecessary $700 upgrade. I'll leave the extraneous details to folks like Digital Foundry, but it doesn't take an expert's trained eyes to see that there's an impressive amount of processing going on. The game maintains a smooth and steady 60 FPS with a dynamic resolution shifting between 1440p and 4K, only dropping frames in the most graphically intense situations for milliseconds at a time. There are glossy and reflective surfaces everywhere, beautiful lighting and effects on all of the levels with expertly crafted skyboxes, particle and water simulations that interact with Astro, and an abundance of on-screen objects that physically react to his presence. One of the most satisfying parts of the game is when it showers you with things like candy sprinkles or gemstones that all clutter together and then go flying through the air when you punch them. And they like to do this little trick a lot throughout the game. Did they really need to? Nope, but it is fun, and again, fun is the primary objective in Astro Bot. That's also backed up by the exceptional audio design, which marries the cartoonish art style and gameplay with perfectly fitting sound effects, and the haptic feedback of the DualSense controller. I'm still on the side of saying that haptic feedback is, on all accounts, a gimmick. But when a developer who knows what they're doing gets in there and tunes it well, it does add to the experience more than traditional rumble. It's always neat the first time that you feel a new sensation cross your hands, like a ball rolling over a floor made of spikes, or the pitter-patter of light rain falling on Astro's umbrella. And the animations, my god, everything looks so clean and well thought out. Astro himself has a bunch of adorable idle animations, all the animals in the levels get excited to see you, and after you rescue the character-themed bots, they all have some kind of funny little interaction when you get close to them or give them a little love tap back at the crash site. Team Asobi really outdid themselves by representing a wide variety of games, some of which you will absolutely not see coming, and each one feels like a love letter to the people who adored those games. They know how to play squarely into nostalgia, but their approach also does so without feeling gross or like it's some kind of advertisement. It's more like a deep reverence and appreciation for the work that the original developers did, kind of how Masahiro Sakurai's team treats characters in Smash Bros. These bots aren't directly called by their actual names, but they all sport some kind of quirky description which references something that a fan of the game they hail from would probably get a good chuckle out of. And there are even certain VIP bots who get their own level and gameplay mechanics themed around the stuff that happens in their series of games. I know some of you are probably worried right now, but I'm going to try my hardest not to spoil anything big. I know finding certain characters and seeing who the VIP bots are is one of the biggest draws people have to Astro Bot, so I'm only using footage of one of the VIP levels, which was revealed in the original trailer, and was probably the most obvious choice for them to include. Getting back to the point though, I will be talking about the actual structure of the game. So if you want to roll in completely blind, now is your chance to hit pause and come back later. Astro Bot's main mission is gathering as many of the bots back together as you can. In total, there are 300 or a possible 305 if you have saved data from Astro's Playroom, and 150 of those are the ones in costumes while the rest are generic. There are also a handful of puzzle pieces and a secret exit hidden inside of each level. If you take a look at the map, which kind of looks like Super Mario Galaxies, you'll see that there are 5 different galaxies full of individual levels, and the crash site hub world to explore. Whenever you collect enough bots by running through levels to exceed certain thresholds, you can return to the crash site and use their helping hands to unlock new areas with more hidden bots and puzzle pieces. And the puzzle pieces unlock new facilities, like a changing room to put on costumes, or a place to change the color of Astro's dual speeder ship. You'll find coins everywhere, and they're used at the gacha machine to get extra accessories and props for your costume bots at the crash site, more paint jobs for the dual speeder controller, and a couple of other cosmetics. The time it takes to complete most levels is pretty short, giving you some enjoyable bite-sized moments that don't hang around long enough to feel repetitive. Some have a bit more meat on the bone, but I'd say that most of them take roughly 10 to 15 minutes to complete while collecting everything in the level. I never found myself bored, and the variety of themes, visuals, and gameplay mechanics you encounter between levels always kept things feeling fresh. Now, with Astro Bot being so colorful and full of comfort food style game design, you might be fooled into believing that there's not much of a challenge here, especially if you base your opinion on the first handful of levels. But trust me, later on, there are a few surprises that will keep you on your toes. Some of these, which I'll leave unnamed for spoiler's sake, are extremely tricky to master. There were multiple occasions where I got stuck repeating the same level 10 or more times myself, having to learn from each past attempt and gradually building up my muscle memory. Some of the more traditional levels end in a fight with a mini-boss, but when you complete an entire galaxy and find enough bots along the way, you reveal a big boss battle that runs their course over an entire level. And when you conquer each of these main bosses, you unlock one of the VIP bot levels. The first one is, to nobody's surprise, a level based on God of War, where you take up the Leviathan axe and play as a facsimile of Kratos. And these are just packed to the brim with little nods to their counterparts, including characters, locations, items, and soundtracks. In fact, the music from the God of War level was so funny and it caught me so off guard that I had to meme it and send it to some friends. The whole Astro Bot soundtrack is nothing but absolute bangers, through and through. Some will be quick to point out that not all of the music is brand new, as a lot of the tracks return from other games Astro previously appeared in, but their inclusion is kind of like a cherry on top of an already delicious ice cream sundae, especially since a lot of them have fresh remixes. And it makes sense when you consider that Kenneth C.M. Young has been Team Asobi's premier composer since Rescue Mission in 2018. He's also produced material for games like Little Big Planet and Tearaway in the past if you really want to get a taste for his style. But this guy, along with his all-star team of fellow composers like Kime Adachi, Sachiko Miyano, and Tadashi Yatabe, are just brilliant at what they do. The soundtrack will keep you humming along for days even after you stop playing the game. You've got your bouncy celebratory melodies, you've got your bassy underground tunes, you've got your energetic retro beats, you've got your chilled out beachside motifs, you've got funky rhythms and raps, and even some 20s and 30s era swing sounds. There's apparently no musical terrain that these folks are afraid to tread, and they have yet to meet their match. Their talent carries the vibes of Astro Bot to new heights, and weaves it flawlessly into the deeply satisfying gameplay and the endearingly cutesy aesthetics. I love this game. I love it, and there's nothing you can say to make me stop loving it. I could gush about it for another 20 minutes, but by now you should already get the full picture. The harshest negatives I could ascribe to it is that there are some short gyro motion control segments that I didn't completely jive with, and that some of the collectibles are missable when you're flying into the levels, forcing you to restart them. But besides those microscopic blemishes, Astro Bot is impeccable. I mean, I completed this game 100% and I am rarely compelled to make the time to complete video games these days. Please, buy this game, or tell someone else it's worth their time and money. I want this game to succeed so the rest of the industry can receive the message loud and clear. Future developers and the people leading them need to be shown that you can still make games that are just plain fun, without the need for a battle pass or live service elements. I want video games to return to their roots, and remember that they can just be games again. And Astro Bot could be the heartwarming hero leading the charge. They say that not all heroes wear capes, but this one does. If you have a single scrap of childlike wonder left in your soul, then give this little guy a home. He deserves it. Astro Bot receives a 9.5 out of 10.